we are going to get started now. So once again, my name is Babs. I run social media at PicMonkey. I've been with PicMonkey for about 5 years. I'm a huge PicMonkey user. I use it every single day. It's my favorite design tool ever. And I'm so excited to be here with all of you. And then I'll let Crystal and Jake introduce themselves as well.
Hi guys, my name is Jake and I run our email program as well as our community. I've been with PicMonkey for about 4 years now, just a little less than Fabs. Yeah, happy to be here.
And I'm Crystal. I'm PicMonkey's creative director, and I have been with PicMonkey for almost 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was just telling Jake and Fabs right before this, I'm wearing one of my original PicMonkey t-shirts today.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So just to give you guys a little bit of an overview, what is going to go down today is this is obviously a PicMonkey 101. Basically, we are going to do a thorough walkthrough of the product. Crystal will be leading the demo, and it will be a combination, a little bit of like the new stuff in PicMonkey, a little bit of the old stuff in PicMonkey that has been around for a long time. She will be using a pro version of the product. So we will be using pro features. Just keep that in mind. And also this is just going to range between beginner level PicMonkey usage, intermediate and advanced. So we're going to see a little bit of everything. Crystal is extremely interactive and she likes to answer questions as we go. So if you guys have any questions, Jake and I will be monitoring the chat, and you can go ahead and ask us any questions in there. If they are relevant to what Crystal is creating at that very moment, we will stop and answer questions and show you guys kind of whatever. If you missed something and you need to rewatch it, we can totally do that. And if the question is kind of more high level, Jake and I will do a little Q&A at the end. So make sure to stick around because we're going to answer questions and talk about the product overall. And we are just so excited to have you guys here, and we really hope you enjoy the demo. If you want to open up PicMonkey and follow along and create something similar to Crystal, we would love that. And if you want to just sit back and relax, you can do that too. So I'm going to hand over the hosting abilities to Crystal. I'm going to make you a host, Crystal.
Excellent.
And it does look like we have a quick question just on how long the webinar is and if we're going to be posting this for anyone later.
And that the answer is yes, we will be hosting this on our YouTube, and we can send out the link via email if you guys would like, but also we have right now like an hour and 15 minutes for the webinar. So
Here we are.
awesome.
Can everyone see my screen, my logged in screen? Perfect. Oops. Just clicking random things here. So I have populated my signed in PicMonkey screen with a few things just to get us started. I uploaded some photos that I had already that I may or may not use. And I did make a little logo in PicMonkey that I'm going to use just because I wanted to have kind of a brand kit saved. If you're not a brand and you're using it for personal use, that's totally fine. I do for personal use use like a color palette, like fun colors. So you'll see some of that in here. And I'm going to create an Instagram carousel because I think that's a good, really generic thing to make. It's all going to be squares, and I'm going to use multi-page to do that. So once I've signed into PicMonkey home, I can create new from a few different places. I can do it up in this top button here, which gives me a drop down of how I can start from my computer. Like if I want to upload like a video or photos, I can upload a blank canvas, obviously. I can start templates, collage, stock photos, lots of options here if I want to import my pictures. I can also, sorry, let me move my Zoom a little bit out of the way. There we go. I can also
see your Zoom UI, so don't worry about that being in the way for us. Okay.
Oh, I was just in my way of my clicking.
Okay.
It's better now.
Okay.
I can also from here, if I wanted to, I can like manage my account or do a referral. And there's also a resource center that lets me, like if I needed to refer to something or if I wanted to look something up, like how to make a design, I can go to tips and tutorials or that, or reach out to support. So those are just like some basics of what we're looking at here. We have the blank canvases along the bottom, which make really quick entry. That's a lot of the times where I'm clicking to start something new, or obviously we have professionally designed templates that you can open up if you want to either browse for inspiration or get started from a base design. So I'm going to start from blank first, and I'm going to open up an Instagram post. And now from in the editor, if you have been a PicMonkey user for a while, you may have noticed that the layout has changed a bit. We did compact some of our tools into the left panel and removed some what we call like floating palettes like this into palettes. And so I'm just going to accept that I'm in the new palette changer. And it gives me a little walkthrough. So that's what you're seeing there. If you're new to PicMonkey, you don't see that. You're automatically in here. So now my background palette, rather than being that little floating thing, is over here. So if I wanted to change the color, I could.
And just to call out real quick, everyone, if you are a customer who's been with us for a while, you may not see this on your left panel right yet, but you can switch into that experience and get to play around with it. It's a really great experience. And as you'll see, as Crystal will show off, just it's much easier to, and it's just a lot less in front of your canvas getting in the way. So.
From in here in the editor, I'll just do a really quick overview of what this looks like. You have a file menu here if you want to create new, copy, all these things. Our templates are up here if you want to browse through our extensive template library, which is organized by both category like industry, like real estate, and also by things that are like COVID related or outcome based. And there's a great search there if you're looking for something pretty specific. We have an awesome collage tool, which you can look through. A bunch of things there, and then I'll start talking through all the left panel stuff as I'm showing you this stuff. So I'm going to start with a collage myself. As a designer, I'm very grid based, which just means that I like things like really clean and lined up. And in order to make it how I want, I'm actually going to turn on a grid. So in the bottom of the toolbar here, I have some options for if I want my workspace dark or light. I can see things that are off canvas if I happen to add something later and it's there. There's just a couple options there that sometimes people don't know about or see. So I often use grids like this so you can see that. And snap to grid just means it's gonna click to those lines. Can you guys see that okay with the purple background? I was trying to give it a little bit of help, but it might be a little pale.
Looks good to me.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go with something like about a quarter of the way in, and that just works there. And then from here, I can change the color of my cells to either my brand colors, or if I want to go from some basic colors, I can choose from here. If I have been using PicMonkey, I have recently used, so that's awesome because a lot of the times if I'm in the same design, I'm using the similar colors. So that's a good place to share. And then the spectrum picker allows me to really customize anything I want. So if I wanted this to be like a pink color, I could do that. I'm going to go with something kind of neutral to start with to show off some of our photo editing tools. I'm going to turn off my grid for now because I don't really need it. But then I'm going to put my reference. Add some text first. So, that was a little quick. Let me try again. If I go to add text, I'm in the upper left corner and I can click either add text here. I can add some brand fonts, or I can do a text layout, which is just like preset fonts and everything's all set up for you. So if I wanted to drop it on the canvas, it just works right away. Or I can, if I click add text, it gives me a text box automatically and it just defaults to this. And then I can browse through. We have like hundreds of fonts. So it allows me to have that option to look for something that I really want. I'm gonna hold Option and click on this category name just so you can see the categories that we have recently used brand fonts. We have, if you're familiar with fonts, there's sans serif, serif, handwriting, script, display, monospace, so it makes it a little bit easier for you to browse. If you know what you're looking for, if it's something very specific, you can search for it and you can upload your own as a pro user. So I'm gonna go to just one of my favorite fonts lately and drop it in as what I wanna do. And then in this left panel, I have text tools. So it's like basic alignment. If I wanted to like change the letter spacing or the line height, it's what it sounds like. It adds space between the letters. Or if it was on 2 lines, the line height is how much space is between the words, up or down. So I'm gonna go with something like that. And if I wanted it to curve, I could do either a circle or an arc, and we'll probably look at that later, but that's just one button. I can fill the text with an image or with a texture like a glitter or a photo or a gradient, anything that I want. Like Animate we'll look at later. And what I will show in this one is an outline for one thing. So let's start with just adding, oops.
So we got a question about bolding text.
Yeah.
Is there a way to bold only a part of a text in any given text box?
Yes, let me choose a font that has bold real quick. So if I'm in my text box and I hover and select one of the words, I can actually style that to bold. I can even change the color to something else if I want that text to stand out. Does that answer it?
Yeah, I think so. Answers it for me.
I have imagined this brand that I'm making, or this like thing that I'm making is called Hot Style. You'll see that in the logo. So I'm going to say Hot New Looks in a different spelling than maybe usual. And I'm just playing with my text, resizing it, dragging the corners. I can always change the text size right here by either typing it in or following the drop down. But it's just kind of how I'm working.
Crystal, can you upload fonts from your computer?
Yeah, you can. If you're a pro user, you can, in this bottom right here, you can upload fonts. You can choose from wherever they are in your system. I usually just search for something if I have that. There is a how-to in the right-hand side that shows you exactly how. And then that then becomes, oh, I don't have them in here because I'm not in my account, but then it shows up as your fonts right under brand fonts.
Awesome.
Great question. For this top one, I want it to stand out a little bit because it's just the brand, and I'm going to knock that out so it's an outline only. And here I can play with thickness. Outline works on text or images or graphics. It's a really fun tool to play with. There's different things like the intensity just kind of makes it like how soft it is around the edges. You can also, I don't have the text colored anymore and I'll show that again later, but you can change it if you want an offset outline look on objects. But basically, I just kind of want something a little more subtle because the emphasis that I'm looking for here is new looks in that text. I'm going to give it a little bit of space just so the letters don't run into each other. And then I'm going to make this slightly less black, just because black tends to be a little harsh when you're reading it on screens. That's a design tip for you. I almost never use pure black. Now that I've got some text kind of laid out, I picked a pretty simple and just centered it using that red alignment line and calling that good. I can either search for photos. We have iStock and Unsplash stock photos. If you're a pro, you have iStock. All basic users have Unsplash. I could also search for videos. And if you hover over them, you get a little preview of how that moves.
Crystal, Oh, sorry, quick question.
Okay.
You don't have to do it right now, but when you get to a chance, would you show off a little of manual erasing just whenever you have, it feels
Absolutely.
natural?
Let's actually do that right now. I'm going to go to my computer where I have a photo actually here. I'm dragging to upload the image right here. So you can't see that I'm dragging it from my computer, I don't think, because I'm just sharing the
You
screen.
can't.
But that hover window that kind of, did you see that kind of appear right there? Like right there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. That's just me dragging onto my screen. I'm gonna add this to my canvas, this shoe for my lifestyle brand that I made up in my head. And I'm double clicking to crop this in. And I'm mostly doing that so that I can see what's behind my background. And then I'm gonna use our one-click background remover and let that do its magic. And then I usually find there's some cleanup to do on these. So if I zoom in close, like it's just a little bit raggedy. So I'm gonna erase a little bit of that. I'm gonna decrease the size a bit, not that much. I'm gonna decrease the size a bit so it gives me a little more precision. And I'm gonna move the hardness, which just means like if I erase with 1% hardness, see how soft that is? It's like a really soft look. And if I increase the hardness all the way, it's opposite of that. I'm gonna go with a little bit of a middle because I just wanna get rid of some of the jagged edge here. And I'm just gonna go softly around that side. You can kind of hopefully see a little bit of where the darkness goes away there. If I went too far and just like erased half my shoe, I can paint it back on with the little paintbrush eraser in the right tab here. And I can also use different brush shapes, which we'll get into a little bit more later, but as a pro user, I can, if I wanted like a straight line to erase, I can hold shift and do a straight line. If I wanted something kind of creative like that, there's different brushes that I can do. And I'll show a little bit more of that later. For now, I'm gonna stick to our basic one. Is there any other erase functionality that you'd like to see yet?
Yeah, can we just see you remove the background of one more image?
Yes.
And yeah, Cassandra. So, and Crystal, while you're pulling up an image, you can, if you, whenever you're erasing with any of our new eraser shapes, as long as you hold down shift, you can always erase in a straight line. So just a little tip while you're erasing, if you need to erase straight down, just hold down shift and it'll do that for you.
So I got my image. I just I just clicked that image to add it to the canvas. It's just sitting here. The remove background option is in my left panel right here, right under image tools. And if I click on that, it removes my background.
Boom.
And just to call out that manual erasing that Crystal just showed off is great. We did have a question about using the background remover that sometimes will remove part of your product listing or something like that as well, especially if they're like a white on white. But you can paint those back on or erase extra portions if you need to, just kind of like Crystal was just doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so she's going to go ahead and demo this one more time. It comes up when you have any layer selected, the little scissors will come up on the left.
Any image layer selected.
Yep.
Well, this isn't the one. There's one. Let's see. I practiced it right before this where it erased too much of my image. This one might do it. So my
get a chance.
yeah. We'll see how much it takes away. It's like trying to find the background to remove on that one.
Currently, you can only erase one layer at a time.
So it doesn't quite erase too much, but let's say it cut this whole part off. When I did the one click remove background, I can still paint that back on with my little paintbrush tool here in the erase panel on the left. Cool. Good questions. I much prefer the questions to the demo alone. All right, so I have my little background erase shoe here. With any image that I have on my canvas, I can do effects or edits even with the background removed. So I'm just going to do a little bit of exposure, adjusting using the auto exposure tool, apply that. And then I want to change that purple color just slightly, or maybe take out some of this. So I'm going to go to this color changer, which is both under edits and under effects. And this is great if you are doing some like color correction in your product photos, or if you want to change like a background color on something, or even if you have like a t-shirt listing and you have a bunch of colors of the t-shirt, you can select the color that you're changing and you can adjust that hue.
Use it to the shoe a bit, Crystal.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm gonna, let me cancel back out of there. So I'm gonna click that color changer. I have it's kind of like a purple color selected that I wanna change. Fuchsia, pink, purple. And I can just drag this hue slider and you can see that color changing. It's pretty subtle on this one. But let's say I wanted it to be kind of like a teal. Maybe I have a teal shoe, but I didn't get a good photo of it. I can play here with representing it a little bit better, or adjust however I want. I'm gonna call that good enough. It's like pink and teal. It's kind of fun.
I love that.
It's good. And I'm gonna add my logo out of my graphics section just because I'm a brand for this one. And I have them saved under my graphics in the upper left here. If you want to add your own graphic, you can, same as you can add an image from anywhere, like the same kind of selections. I also have my brand graphics here, and that's where my logos are saved. So I'm gonna click on that, size it down, and drop it into the corner. And that's good enough for my first page. We're gonna come back to graphics for the next page. So in this far upper right, layers are essentially anything you add to your canvas. It's just like different objects. So you can see like the little shoe, you can see the text here, you can see the little collage cells. That's what we made layers. It's not that complicated for those. And then pages, I can add a page or I can duplicate. I'm just gonna add here because I just want another page in my carousel. It will maintain the background color of your design. So in this case, I had a background color of purple to start. The collage cells are on top of that so that you can have objects on top of a collage or behind a collage, or graphics behind a collage, or a movie behind a collage, or anything. So the background is slightly different than what a collage would be, which is pretty cool for me as a designer. So it maintained that purple background that we originally had. I'm going to keep that for this one. And I'm going to do a little graphic treatment for this.
While you're doing that, Crystal, can I ask you and Babs a quick question?
Yes.
We just got a question on, and I'm actually interested as well. Is there an option to have a shape fade from a color to transparent? I'm assuming like gradient. I don't think
what I'm hearing, and Anastasia, tell me if I'm wrong. If we made this color blue, this graphic blue, Crystal, and then we brought down the hardness, and this is exactly what I was going to say. Tell us if this is what you're thinking. Kind of like fade it.
Let me do that better.
Transparent. Yeah.
That's not very good, is it? Let me turn down my strength.
Yeah.
It usually takes me playing with it a couple times before I get it totally right.
And if you did want to have a gradient, Crystal can probably demo how to get a gradient on there without erasing the.
I can show how to do a gradient for sure.
That looks pretty.
It's fine. Let's just pretend that's better than it is. That was just playing with my strength and hardness settings. Yeah, for now. And then if I wanted to add a gradient, I can either go to effects and I can use our gradient tool. Effects can be used on text or graphics or photos. They're not just for photos. you can use on your canvas.
Ingredients
They can even be used on like your draw layers, which is cool.
yeah, I think I like adding ingredients more to graphics and text than I do images, not like
Yeah,
currently.
I can take my fade all the way down so you can actually see if you wanted to add a gradient there. That's what that would look like. You could also do an image fill and you could fill it with like a gradient. Image fill.
Beautiful. Wow.
So cool. Let's use that as our base. We'll just leave that over here.
Okay, and then just one more clarification for the usage of transparent in graphics. Can we select a graphic that has multiple colors in it, Crystal?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna grab one out of here anyway, so I'm just gonna go find it. I'm scrolling through our design section, which is super extensive. A lot of the times this is like my go-to because I use basic shapes a lot, but I want like a little bit more fun to happen while I'm using it. So I'm just I'm gonna add this one. It could be, we have all kinds of graphics. It could be anything. This one just has 2 colors. Let me grab something let's change an eBay logo. I am selecting that graphic, and then under graphic tools in the left panel, I can change colors and it gives me each color so I can change each of those.
and then there in that same palette, you do have the option to check off the transparent box, which would make whatever color you have selected become transparent.
Goodbye. Why though? Okay. In this case, I am actually doing that for my design. So I'm selecting these red squiggly lines that are on there, and I'm going to make those transparent because I just want this blobby shape as my background. I'm going to move this off the canvas for now. And for this, I'm going to actually add a texture to my design. I'm going to use a color gradient since we're using gradients for the last thing. These are preset gradients that we provide. This is for both basic and pro users have this. And I'm just clicking through the different ones to kind of show you what those look like. But they're a really fun way to add a shape, add a photo or a texture to your shapes. It's the same kind of thing as image fill, but you also have options to like change your blend mode, which just kind of changes the appearance of the layer. And a lot of the times it's like scrolling through to see what might work for those. Or change the saturation or the fade of how much you want that to go on. So that's kind of what textures are. So I'm just kind of doing that to anchor an object on my canvas. And I'm going to go back to my uploaded things. And I'm going to add my next product, which is going to be this. So I dragged and dropped that onto my little panel here so it shows up, but I'm actually going to image fill a circle. So I'm going to go to my basic shapes, and let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm going to my basic shapes, and I'm going to make that circle centered, just like I did that little blobby background. So you can see that I have like the blobby background kind of as a designer, I would say like an anchor or something of visual interest, just something to kind of let that little circle piece pop without having such a plain background. And then I'm going to go back to my uploaded photos, and I'm going to drag and drop that image onto my circle, and you can just see how that filled it beautifully. I'm going to edit my image fill a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys one of those pro little tips that we were talking about in the beginning for a more advanced user. So I'm editing my image fill from the left panel. I have made my image bigger. It's coming out of the circle. If I wanted to do any other adjustments, flipping or rotating, I could even change the saturation, which is cool because that basically is what would allow a background color to come through. I'm going to call that done for now. And I'm going to go back to my photos, and I'm going to add another one on top. And I'm going to go to my fade and blend settings. And I'm going to fade it down. a bit, and I'm just gonna eyeball kind of this image over my circle image. And you'll see why in just a minute. So I have almost lined up, kind of close. And that's good enough. And I'm gonna put my fade to 0. And then I'm gonna remove the background on this guy. Woo!
Oh, cool.
Crowd goes wild.
A little outstanding, like just a little pop of something extra. So if you're looking to make like a social design or a flyer or a poster or a postcard that you want to kind of stand out or look a little bit different, that's really a good way to like, it's something totally different that you don't see very often.
Yeah, I love the 3D kind of look.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and just for everyone, this is also great. Like we've said, we'll post this to YouTube as well. So please feel free, if you want to follow along now, great. If you want to just kind of watch and learn, great. You can always follow along again on when we post this recording and try to recreate this stuff as well then. So no worries.
Yep. Thank you, Jake. I'm going to add a little bit of text here. I'm just going to choose from one of our text layouts if I can find one that I think will work. I'm going to go with this one, but I'm going to change the fonts and adjust it just slightly. I think this will kind of work for this photo. It's going to be a disruptive of the product, but I think it's kind of a fun layout. So I have both of my text boxes selected. I'm holding shift while I click these. I can try that again. If I hold shift and click on both, that will select both. I can also do that from my layers palette and panel in the far right.
I really love text layouts.
Yeah,
They're
they make it so
wonderful.
easy.
It's a really great way to get started and kind of customize. Really just like templates in general.
Totally. Let's change this to like hello sunglasses. We're gonna say bust out those bright sunnies. Leave that on the side. This would be fine. Let's change the text. New arrivals. Just gonna kind of stylize this a little bit. It's okay for me because I'm being a designer to have the words on a different line. But I really want, like, if I'm selling these sunglasses, I want this to stand out. So I'm gonna zoom in here on the text and I'm gonna go to my erase in the right panel. And I'm gonna change the size down to something that's about the size of my little ear thing here. Turn my hardness almost all the way up.
And Crystal, do you mind if we just slow down a little bit?
Totally don't mind.
Thank you. And again, guys, we'll post this as well, just in case there's anything you missed. But we'll try to go a little bit slower. We do forget that for us three especially, we're in there all the time, so we just kind of get going and get lost in it. So totally fine to slow down a little bit.
You're telling me to slow down, I will.
And there's a lot to cover. So
yeah, I'm trying to like balance what we're showing and
yeah.
So keep me honest. I love it.
Thank you.
So I've undone what I just started. So I have the text selected from my text box. I have zoomed in. I'm using my trackpad. You can also do this in some browsers with, like, if you have a mouse that zooms, or you can click zoom in this bottom toolbar area. There's a little drop down if you want to zoom to a certain level. I most often use my trackpad because I'm used to it, but.
Totally.
So I've zoomed in. I want to have this sunglasses ear thing handle be on top of my text is my ultimate goal here. So I'm zooming in on the text in order to erase pieces of it so that my little, I don't know why I can't think of that word. My little
earpiece? Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So my sunglasses can stand out. Yeah. If anybody knows, check comment. First, I erased it. What I did when we first opened this panel was I sized it down to something that would kind of fit over this. And it didn't have to be perfect because I can always fix it with the paint back on. So I erased, you know, just by clicking down and erase. And then if I screw up something, I'm clicking the paintbrush on the right. I have my hardness up, so it's not 100%, but it's close. I like to do that because it is a little bit more forgiving if I don't have my hardness all the way up. It's just a less harsh line.
And we got the answer. It might be glass stems.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
I want my glass stem to stand out, and I can paint that back on. So this is another thing where if you're really trying to, like, if you have a product, or if you have a person, a picture of a person, if you're posting, like if you're of your family or something. We did a lot of cards with our team this year where we used erase and the like image fill with something standing out. So it's just a fun way to make something a little bit creative or unique.
I think this is one of the first things I learned with PicMonkey was to be able to do this, following along, I think, from one of you guys when we did a designer playground in-house. And I remember just feeling so incredibly powerful that I knew I could put text, individual text just behind stuff like that.
I'm just saying,
it's so
as
cool.
a professional designer, this is the easiest tool to do this in by far. So I'm going to click apply there. If I wanted to change this text, I could, and then I could clean it up like hi. See how it maintains. That's all I'm going to show.
Crystal, this is a beautiful design.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to how that looked.
And we hope too that you all feel inspired, and kind of, even though that maybe that feels like an advanced kind of little demo that we just did there, we hope that you are feeling inspired and feel like you are realizing what you can do with PicMonkey. You know, maybe we rewatch it a few times or do kind of slower demos. We're going to continue doing these every month, but our goal is to inspire you and to educate you at your pace. So if it feels fast, don't be discouraged. It just takes some practice, but we definitely want you guys to see all of the honestly, the power that PicMonkey has and how easy it is to use.
I'm playing just while you guys are chatting with some animated graphics that are pre-provided. So I just added a little arrow you can see moving there to point out what's new. In our graphics, so there's like however many thousands of graphics that we have. You can search for something that you want, like if you were looking for a heart or a star. And we do try to have different styles, so there will be generally a range between like hand-drawn or kind of modern-y or basic geometric or some kind of trendy styles, like the animated ones that you saw. Those are pre-populated. There's just, we try to have a lot of options for you. And then you can browse by category as well. If you're just not sure what you're looking for, usually I'm in the boat where I'm not sure what I'm looking for.
Until you see it.
Yeah, different categories. In this case, I just wanted something simple like an arrow. So I did that by going to animated graphics, but if I wanted to have a little more control over that animation, I could search for arrow. I'm gonna take away I just selected that and then hit delete. I'm gonna take away that arrow and I'm going to find something a little more modern. In this case, I'm looking for something that maybe kind of looks like this text is a pretty modern font. It's really clean. So I looked for just a really clean style arrow here. And then I'm holding this down and I'm lining it up with this text here, following that little red alignment. And then I'm going to change my color to white to match the text. And I can do this one-click animation. This is another pro feature where I can do all kinds of animations, super uncomplicated. I'm just clicking on the animation and you could get a preview of what that looks like.
And this kind of answers someone was asking if they could animate their own graphics. So you can use our animation features for these graphics. Currently, at the moment, we don't have the ability to edit timing, but that is something we are working towards.
Coming soon. You can also upload your own. If you have a GIF file or a video file, you can
Totally
add those to your canvas as well, either as a photo, you can drag and drop it on, or you can add it from any of these places that you might have it saved.
Yeah, and Crystal, if you were to export this for Instagram, what would you export it as?
I would export it as a multiple MP4 video.
Yep. So
even though that's an animated graphic, or if I use the animated graphic, go ahead, Pops.
Yeah, so for a lot of social channels currently, you can only upload MP4s. So that's why we give you that option. But technically, if you want to get a GIF look, you also have the ability to export an animated GIF if you wanted it to live simply in email or anything that supports GIF files. But if you do want it to Instagram specifically to answer your question, you would go ahead and export that as an MP4.
And you can totally make your own GIFs with video, with animation.
Yep.
We have a number of different options. So you can totally make all your own GIFs in PicMonkey if you wanted to.
And one more thing I want to call out while we're in this download section. Sorry if you can hear my son screaming in the back. Here, when you see file type MP4 video, single and multiple video, the reason we have that here is because Crystal is currently working in a multi-page document. So she would have the ability to export those two as two separate videos, or she can have the ability to export it all as one, which would make it kind of like a slideshow. It would just be one full video of all the pages that you have in there.
And multi-page, the addition of multi-page is fairly new for us. So if you guys haven't had a chance to play around with it yet, please feel free to go jump in on that and play around. It's great for presentations, brochures, a bunch of different options.
Cool. I'm going to add another page. This time I'm going to start with a template. And I want it to be kind of a collage layout template, but I don't want to have to pick from one of those blank layouts because I'm not really sure what I want. So I'm just going to browse through here and pick something that I think might be fun. Maybe let me find something that has, there we go. So this is automatically resizing this template to fit my size of my Instagram carousel. So I chose this horizontal one on purpose so you can see how it smart resizes into my document. Because we have an awesome smart resize tool that really allows us to do a lot of things, and that automatically happens when you're working in a template. If you want to see that again, you find let's do one more. This one has a few more objects, so it's resizing this horizontal pamphlet into a square. So it's kind of cool. I'm not going to use that layout, but it's kind of cool. I want something like this. I just want 3 little images in the bottom, and these are collage cells, and it just reconfigured the text. I'm multi-selecting the 2 text layers so that I can change it to one of my fonts that I feel like using. I'm going to go to my recently used and choose from there. And same for the title. And if I'm going too fast for this, let me know. I'm kind of clicking through a little bit quicker because it's a little bit basic. I am selecting all of these and I'm just moving it to have a little bit better composition for my eye. And then I'm going to change my copy to I'm just pretending like we have some kind of event happening and changing the copy to make it my own. And I don't know, I don't really need this bottom one, but maybe it'll be cool. So I just have that dropped in there, really simple. I'm going to change my headline text to have an image fill. So I can do that in a couple different ways. I have the text selected. I can go to my photos and videos and I can grab something from here, either uploaded or not. Let's add a new photo here. I can drag this onto my text layer and it'll do a fill like that. You can kind of see what that is. I can also search for a stock photo and do it that way. So if I search clouds.
Crystal, we have a quick question. For when you remove a background on a product or an image, the remaining object looks so flat. Do you have any suggestions for adding depth, shade, or shadowing to an object?
Yes.
It's really good for product listings. I've noticed a lot of that for product listings. A lot of folks add like drop shadow and stuff, but Crystal can take that.
Yes. I'm gonna grab the, I'm copying this shoe, Command or Control C, just like you copy paste anything else. Oops. And then I'm gonna add a new page just to do this by itself, completely isolated. So if I have a white background and I have background erased to my shoe, which you guys saw, this is kind of a cool photo, but
Yeah.
if I wanted to do something to make this stand out, there's a number of things I can do. So I have my shoe selected. You can see that selection in the layers palette. If you want to keep a white background, you can add a drop shadow. And this, you have a lot of options on how to play with this. You can make it really creative. You can make it faded or not. You can play with how much it's blurred. You can just get really, you can have a lot of fun with it. You can change the color. You can have it match your photo, or you can use one of your brand colors if you're doing a product listing. You can also do an outline on the background removed object. Same kind of thing where you can adjust the thickness up or down. You can angle it or offset it. You can give it some distance if you want it to live somewhere else rather than directly on your image. That's kind of like a popular Instagram look right now, or it's a good thing for YouTube if you're making a YouTube video. It's really kind of that kind of look. You can also scale it just like you scaled your drop shadow. So you can do that. You can also add graphics behind it, like you saw with the like blobby shape, or you can add like a texture or an image behind it. There's a lot of the times I'm searching like abstract background, but I just know that marble is kind of a subtle thing just to give it some texture behind it. What else could we do?
Something that somebody just asked if you could put the outline of the shoe behind the shoe, and we were just adjusting the distance, but something you can also do is duplicate a layer of a shoe. So let's just duplicate that. Yeah, go.
If I right click on here, this is another way to copy paste it. I can duplicate my layer. It gives me the keyboard commands if I right click. So if you are into keyboard shortcuts like I am, and I usually use them, you don't have to. You can right click on this. And so I'll duplicate that layer. I'm going to realign it with the original, and you can see the little red lines as I'm holding the selection that are telling me it's aligned as I move it around. So I'll do that. I'm going to take the drop shadow away because I don't need two. I'm going to add that outline and do a knockout. And you can see how that works with the outline behind it.
If you bring that, yeah. So right there, what Crystal has right now is just the outline of the shoe is the layer. So to answer somebody's question, she can go ahead and grab that outline and bring it to another canvas. She can do kind of whatever she wants with it. So if you want to have a little bit of freedom with an outline of an image and you click knockout, the picture goes away and it you just have the shoe would go away and all you have is the outline. So it's really fun to play with. Thanks for demoing that, Crystal.
No problem.
Yeah.
Do you want to see a pro tip?
Yes, please.
If I right click and flatten that layer that I've selected of the knocked out outline. So I have right clicked and clicking flatten. I can add a texture or I can drag and drop as an image fill, but this time I'm adding as a texture. It's another way that we could have done that text fill. I can actually add like a glitter or foil or image photo or fur, whatever texture that I want on here. I see this question if sometimes on social, like how do I fill that outline? That's how.
So what
you knock it out and then flatten it.
What flattening does is basically it does just that. It flattens it so that PicMonkey no longer recognizes it as an outline. It recognizes it as its own layer. So it just, let's say you added some shadows and you made some adjustments to any layer and you flatten that, you can no longer go back and like take out it. PicMonkey just recognizes it as a flat layer with no effects applied to it. And doing that allows us to use image fill, textures, and it allows us to play with different effects like outline in a like really creative way. So that looks awesome, Crystal. Thank you for showing us that.
No problem. I'm going to delete that outline and I'm going to show one more way you can outline without using the outline tool by using draw, because we do have these new premium brushes that already have different textures applied or to just make it kind of fun and creative. And if this look is also kind of popular, if it's not perfect and it's just kind of representative, I'm just loosely drawing around this shoe using my trackpad. You can also do it that way. Like if you want to highlight something, you can. I traced some text on some quotes for social yesterday, just to have a little bit of that little imperfect look. So that's another way you can play with having
That's
your
cool.
product image stand out. Any other questions before I continue?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Cool, great question. All right, I'm going to, I don't like these clouds on this text. It doesn't fit my look that I'm doing. So I'm going to my image fill and I'm gonna actually delete it. I'm gonna show that one more time. So I have my image selected. I'm going to the image fill under my text tools in the left panel. I can either replace, and that gives me the option to choose what I'm replacing it from, or I can delete it. And I'm going to delete, do that. I want a texture on this text instead of the photo that I had. I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom here to just grab something abstract. I'm gonna use abstract patterns because that makes it easy. And I'm gonna drop one of these on here. That looks pretty good. Turning down my fade. The size is if you want to adjust where the pattern is on your text or your graphic or whatever you're putting a texture on. If you make the size bigger, it'll allow you more room to play. If you make it smaller, it allows you less room to play basically, but it gives you a little more control over where you want your colors to focus. So I'm just gonna apply that like abstract graphic on there, that abstract pattern on there. If I don't love how it looks, like maybe I don't like where the colors lie, I can still go back to the left panel and edit that image fill. And it does allow me to crop that size back down, move it around and adjust it. So I don't have to know right when I'm applying the texture, how it's gonna look. I can do that later. And then I can still text, like maybe we don't have an in-person thing and it's just gonna be online. That texture remains on my image, regardless of how I size it or anything. So it's pretty cool too.
So cool.
Yeah. So that is image fill. For my collage, I'm going to drag and drop a couple photos into these cells. I'm going to search for a stock photo for this one because we're on an abstract page. So I'm going to go for like, started with the shoe, we'll continue with shoes. I am going to grab something out of my stock photos like that. And I'm dragging it from the left panel over the cell that I want to drag it into. I'm putting it right there. Maybe I don't like that one and I want to swap it out. I can put it there. Or maybe I want it in the middle. If I don't like how that is, I can grab one more. I can hold this cell, hold the image down, and if I move it over, it'll actually let me switch the position, or it'll let me add a new cell. If I hover over that, you can see that blue line. It'll let me allow it to go all the way to the side. This would be all the way up and down.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna undo that. I could add it above, and it just like it just makes it super easy to add or move things around. And that's whether it's a color fill or an image fill. And I still have all the cell adjustments that I started with.
Yeah, Collage is really versatile in what you can do. And this new Collage tool, if you haven't had a chance to try it out, especially if you're used to the older Collage tool from old PicMonkey back in the day, these are very similar. It's just this one has a little more power, a little more junk in the trunk, so to speak, and can do a little bit more than our older tool could.
And I'm going kind of quickly just to play. I'm just really playing with the cell layouts. I'm just dragging things around.
Your playing looks like
I'm not doing anything intentionally is what I'm saying. So you're like, she's going so fast. I'm dragging cells. I'm dragging what's in the cell. I'm moving things around and letting it shift by itself. All right. That is image fill and collage cells. And I'm gonna leave that there for now. I'm gonna add another page, which is blank. And this time I'm gonna use a video. So I'm gonna go to our videos. I don't have a video chosen. I just want something that's gonna like have a little bit of movement in the background and is kind of abstract. So I'm so used to typing pastel from Instagram. So I'm gonna grab some kind of video of cloud movements because it's just going to be serving as a background for me. And I'm going to hold that and drag it onto my canvas as a background.
And quick question real quick on just going back to flattened images, and this is for either Fabs or Crystal, and apologies for the yard work going on in the background there. Can you, when you have a flattened image, are you able to select, once it's flattened, are you able to select certain pieces of that to recolor, or is once it's flattened, it's flattened?
To recolor.
So if you wanted to select a certain portion of a flattened image.
I believe you can color change any layer, even if it's flattened.
You can color change it. All of our effects allow you to paint certain areas. If you were color changing with tint or gradient, like you could use this little paintbrush and you could erase parts of it.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see that well enough. I'm not sure if this is answering the question.
It's like for a logo was the specific question, just if you could use like other tools have like a selector tool specifically once it's flattened, but to paint on, you could totally paint stuff on like that. And I think that's a lot of times folks miss out on that. And I know I have a million times of being able to paint on effects, being able to paint on colors, just like you can use erase, you can paint stuff on, which is super helpful and super versatile.
So my trick for selective coloring things that are flattened are using the effects and the gradient effect under Paintbox.
Okay.
And if you choose two of the same color, especially if you're coloring a logo with like a brand color, you can choose your brand color, select both, turn the fade all the way down, and that colors the whole thing. And then if you're painting and erasing, you can just the same as we showed with the erasing on the background erase thing. If you change your hardness, strength, and size, you can get pretty close to coloring very specifically where you want.
Awesome.
Hopefully that helps. Back to our clouds. So I have clouds as a background that would play. I can trim this video, make it shorter. It's probably pretty long. I only want it to be a few seconds because it's just going to go on an Instagram carousel. So it doesn't have to be super long. Someone's not going to probably look at it for very long and it'll automatically loop. So it's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. I'm going to show that one more time. So I'm in the left panel. I have the video is a background layer right now. So I have the background selected. I'm hitting trim video in the background tools and I'm slimming that down. You could do this if your main thing is having a video that you have for whatever you're making. This could be enough. Like if this was a video of something more interesting than clouds.
And you can definitely use your own videos too.
And you can adjust the volume up or down, however you want. You can absolutely use your own videos. Under the videos tab, you can add photo or video. So from whatever you want to import it from. You can also drag and drop a video onto your canvas the way that you do photos. And you can reposition that video if you don't quite like where it's lining up. So I'm in the left panel again under reposition video, and I can move it around and click apply. And I can also replace the video with the same options that we saw before. And I can rotate it or flip it, skip it, bop it, tug it. You can do any of that. If I wanted to do something a little bit interesting with my video, I can go over here into the layers palette. You can always convert a background, whether it's a color, a photo, a video, however you have your background set up, and you can convert that to a layer, which makes it a little more editable on your canvas and allows things to go behind it. So that's all it really means. It just means you can put stuff behind it. In this case, I want my cloud video to be like my brand yellow that we started with. So I'm going to change my background color. I have my background selected now. I'm going to go back to the left panel and change my background color to my primary brand color. You can't see it on the canvas because it's behind the video. And I'm going to select my video. And I'm going to go to fade and blend. And what that means, you know what fading is, fading in and out. A blend mode is just how it appears on top of whatever it's behind it. So as I scroll through here, you can see it's kind of like a different way to get an effect. I want it to just be a really subtle kind of color pop. So I think I'm going to do overlay. I'll scroll through those again one more time. But that's all. Blend modes aren't super complicated and they're really fun to play with for different styles or looks. I'm going to select overlay. I'm just going to fade it down a tiny bit to get a little more of the brand background there. Let's add another photo. This one has a cool background already, but maybe it doesn't quite match. So I'll remove the background on this one again.
While you're demoing that, Crystal, we're getting a few questions about video and the video capabilities and if it makes sense to use video for making videos for YouTube and stuff. Our video tool is really, really awesome. The way that you can think about it is almost anything that you can do with an image and a layer in PicMonkey, you can do with video. So you're kind of just like adding motion to your designs and you can export them as MP4s, you can have audio. What you cannot do currently is stitch multiple videos. So if you are editing a longer form video where you do need to cut and stitch and all of that, that's what you can't do right now. So I don't know if that answers your question, but you can definitely keep your audio. You can do really cool effects like what Crystal just did in adjusting blend modes to change the color of videos. So there's a lot you can do with video and design. There isn't too much you can do as far as cutting clipping and adding effects to videos. I hope that answers all of your video questions.
If you are doing a multi-page one too, it limit, like if you're doing it as part of a multi-page doc, it'll limit the time to 6 seconds. If you're editing a video on its own, it'll stay however long you're editing it, but it's kind of limited. Our mobile app will allow you to apply effects to your video. Occasionally, if I'm doing something for a brand where I want a video to be like black and white or something, I'll actually go to our mobile app, upload the video and edit it to however I want it to be, and then upload it to my hub, which is our storage, which everything is saved to that you make in PicMonkey. It's just where your stuff is saved.
In the cloud.
And you can,
In the cloud.
and you can absolutely add animations on top of videos. So that motion that is going on in the background, Crystal can animate any of these clouds or the animated text or do anything. And then you would go ahead and export that as an animated video, text, and all that jazz. So I'm sure Crystal will demo that now.
And Cassandra, I just saw your question about the mobile app. Let me drop you an article of our What's New stuff. We have actually done a lot of really cool updates for the mobile app. So let me grab that for you real quick.
And we have more cool ones coming.
Oh yeah.
So while we were chatting, I just, because I did a cloud background, I went to our graphics and I searched for cloud. And I grabbed a couple of our realistic cloud graphics. This is really for me to show off that you can use effects on graphics. So whatever graphic it is, whether it's one of these icons or one of the photorealistic graphics like the clouds or like any of these graphics in here, you can apply effects on. So I'm going to select my front cloud here. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And I'm going to go to my left panel effects, and I am going to apply a gradient to this. And this is primarily for me to blend this cloud a little bit more with my background color.
That looks so cool.
Thank you. And I can, again, here, if I wanted to play with the blend modes, it might give me something I like better, like maybe this one rather than normal. Gives me more definition in the cloud graphic. Same with any graphic that you have. So I'm just gonna apply that and do the same thing with another cloud graphic. I'm going a little bit faster on this second one just to kind of get through. And then I can multi-select both of these, all 3 of these clouds. I have 1 behind and 2 in the front. It's personal choice of how you want to do that. But I have all 3 selected, and I'm going to go to Animate, and I'm going to have them floating because they're clouds.
Oh, it's so cool.
And it just, if you're like listing a product on, especially on social or in an ad, if you're doing an ad on Pinterest or on Facebook or Instagram or anything, having just that little subtle movement can sometimes make a difference between someone scrolling past your product listing or stopping and buying it. So
Really eye-catching.
super eye-catching. Whether it's an arrow or a star or whatever, it doesn't have to be clouds. But
Susie had a good question about exporting this and then going into iMovie or something and stitching it with other videos. That's actually a really, I'm calling it out because it's an awesome way to actually create like YouTube intros. Like if you wanted to have like an awesome intro with animated text and like a cool design or like an outro, like end screens, that's actually a way that I use it a lot. So you can definitely export an MP4 and upload it to like something like iMovie to intro or just add some like really creative design to something that obviously you cannot do this in iMovie. So definitely combine and use both of those tools to create really amazing content.
I'm bopping around really fast. Just again, if this were an intro or an outro for a YouTube video, you could animate each individual piece. I don't know what icons you want, but if you're calling out like, follow me on these things, and here's my intro, you can select all of them. You can animate all of these little pieces too.
So cool.
Yes, very cool.
Thank you for demoing that.
Yeah. I'm gonna preview and it'll preview all of my slides so far. I'm gonna kind of skip through those. So I'm just pressing play in the bottom button now that we have a few animated things to see what that looks like. Man, I should do the drop in on that shoe. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Add it later. So that arrow, slide in. Skip through these ones because they don't move. Whoops. Start there. So if I wanted to export that as an MP4 and upload it to another program, definitely could as a little animated thing. So that's what those look like. All right, continuing
That's
on.
a pretty beautiful looking group of designs you just showed us.
So great. I feel like this needs a little bit more, so I'm going to add an outline, an offset outline in white. And I'm probably going too fast, but it's just something really quick to do.
We do have 15 minutes left, Crystal, so if you want to continue demoing, that's totally fine. And then if someone has, if you guys have specific questions for Crystal, now's the time too, so we can get them in before.
I know someone wanted to see I know we covered photo collage a little bit, but I had a couple people that were looking for like a little more on photo collage. If you have anything in mind, Crystal.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make a collage. So I'm going to go to, like I said before, you could use one of our collage templates. We have a lot of preset layouts there that are populated so you can see how the photo will be. In this case, I'm going to start from a blank collage layout. I love collage. I'll talk about collage all day. For
Me too.
We have many preset layouts. The gray boxes are kind of how it's set. This, if I had a different size canvas, it would automatically like fit that size canvas. So it's not always going to be square. It'll fit to what you have. I can scroll through. I'm just scrolling down to show you how many options we have to start, but they're so customizable. So let's start with something kind of, it's kind of simple, but kind of cool looking. So can you see my collage cells okay here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Canvas. I can, under the collage options, I can round the corners all the way to have circles or squares. I can adjust the spacing around it. Tiny, tiny, too big. I can also unlock the border and cell spacing. And what that means really is the border around the edge, if I wanted that to be bigger.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Space between the photos, I can adjust, and I can still corner around from there if I'd like to.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'll start from there and then I'll do another collage after this. I can also rotate through those. So if I don't want the preset like way it's laid out, but like if I wanted this layout with 3 on the side, but I wanted them to be on the other side, I could either rotate that by clicking rotate, or I could flip through those. What else? So we can either select that cell and I can change it to a color. I can erase parts of it, or I can replace what's in it with an image. So if I don't have images uploaded and I don't have like a stock photo that I want to use, I can go to my computer and or my hub. If I already have photos saved, I'll show that one more time a little bit slower. So if I have my cell selected and I go to my left panel and I replace cell, and I click hub, I happen to have photos uploaded to my hub. I can choose from any of these sources, click on that. And I have my photos saved in a folder. So I'm going to click that folder. And then I can add I can either double click on the image or I can click add image in the bottom. Then I can hold and move this. I'm holding my select down and moving this left and right where I can. I can also adjust the cell size to either fit to cell, which makes it literally like fit whatever the photo dimensions are, it'll fit to the cell space. I can fill the cell, which is default, which is usually good. And I can adjust the cell size. Like if I wanted to zoom in on something in particular, I can do that, kind of crop it in or not. So I will leave that fill for now and add here. If I wanted to make this something with like text and colors, I could add a color fill, and I can color select, or I can choose from my brand colors that I recently used. So let me do that one more time. If I have the cell selected and I change the color in the left panel, I am looking at this. I can either type in a hex code if I have one. I can make it transparent. I can choose from our basic colors, my recently used, my brand color palette, or I can go to the, we call it a color spectrum. This where I can either manually choose a color, or I can use the eyedropper tool, which is this little guy, and I can select from my photo. I will add another image here just by dragging and dropping it over from my left panel. So that works with either stock photos, videos, or uploaded that I already have. I can add more photos, and I can autofill the cells, which if it's in order of what's left, like if I had a whole bunch of cells, I could autofill that, and then I can drag and drop to adjust them where I want. If I select and hold this image in the collage, I can move it up and down in the crop, but I can also move it up and swap the cell. So you can see it moving from the middle to the top or to the left, or it will add a cell. If I hover and hold over something, there's a little blue line that appears, and that adds the image either next to, above. You can add it to the full side. It's really, really, like it's super easy to play with to achieve the look that you want, and it makes it really flexible. I can also adjust the cell size if I don't like the way that it's cropping or anything by selecting the cell, and then this little, I don't know what you call this, handle, this little handle appears, so I can drag and move these around. If I wanted more color cells, I can also drag and drop those. And every cell is still customizable, whether I want to add an effect. Like if I go to the photo effects on the left and I go to, let's do black and white because it'll be easiest to see. If I want to add a black and white effect to that cell, I can apply it. And then if I choose a different photo and drag that in, it'll actually maintain that effect. So if I have something set up already in a collage, it'll maintain the effect that I have. And I can still put layers behind my collage. So I'm just gonna, let's use a watercolor brush this time. I'm gonna go to the palette and choose kind of this pink color to draw with. And I'm gonna make my draw really big so you can see it. If I draw something on here with that watercolor brush, like that, and I click apply, I can then go to my layers palette and I can select this layer and I can drag it anywhere. You can do this with any layer at any time to reorder, but I can put it behind my collage layer to give it an interesting looking background. If I ever want to like add spacing or adjust anything, I can go back to that collage tool in the top nav bar, and I can still do my corner rounding. I can still add space or take away space. I can relink the spacing back. So it's forgiving and flexible if there's something that you want to accomplish there.
I have a quick question. I just want to make sure. I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure I'm giving the correct answer. So if you are bringing an image from your hub onto your canvas, is it flattened? I know the layers are, I think the layers are flattened, correct? Okay. I just wanted to make sure before I answered that.
Yes, and sorry, let me just drag something there. Let me add another page to show that. So this is separate from collage because if you add it into a collage cell, it will be flattened. Oops. So if that was a design that would be flattened, I couldn't do much with that at that point.
Okay.
But in another case, if you are adding like a design from your hub, hold on. The Zoom UI is in my way of clicking this button, and I don't know how to get it out of my way. But if I wanted to add something from my hub, that's annoying. I can't even, oh, there we go. If I add an image from my hub, that's a design. Let's grab something out of this different folder.
Pay close attention. She's about to show something very cool.
Oh no, let's use one of my logos. So if I have a logo, but it has a background color, but I made it in PicMonkey. So it's not a flat design in PicMonkey necessarily saved. And I add my logo with the background from the design from PicMonkey. This does not apply if you came from elsewhere and you had a background on it. This is only if you created in PicMonkey.
And it's coming from your hub.
And it's coming from your hub. Like you made it in PicMonkey and it's saved to your hub. You can add it from your hub. You can select that layer and you can choose this you can barely see this little menu, but you can also right click and you can revert all changes on that layer. This is another pro tip. If you revert all changes, it actually brings back what we call a PMF. It's like our specific file type, and it makes it back into layers. So you have your background color, your background or whatever layers you have from that design
Awesome.
back to being editable.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you, Cassandra, for asking that question because I had no idea.
And then if what I just did, hold on, maybe slower, sorry. What I just did was like, so I have my logo. I didn't happen to have it saved to transparent background, and I just wanted to remove the background color to put it on something. I can take my logo. If I select both of these things, I can command or control group, or I can right click and group layers.
Command G.
Thank you. Then I can resize it a little bit better. And if I have an outline, what did we learn earlier? We can flatten it so the outline stays.
Awesome.
And I drop it, like maybe I want a watermark or something on this. I'm gonna delete this yellow background that came from my PicMonkey hub file. I'm gonna take that away. And I'm just gonna drag a color photo on top of this.
Awesome.
And then I can select that logo and I can like fade it down. And that works for any design. Like if I had a design, sometimes I'll make a design that I want to include in a multi-page poster, multi-page carousel, or a presentation document, especially presentation documents, where I just want to add a design from something else, but I want to be able to edit it. I'll add that image from my hub that's saved to my hub, and I'll revert it so that I can play with it in the new setting that I need it to be in.
Awesome. We do have about 5 minutes left. Just want to be cautious.
No problem. Let's open it up for questions.
Okay, let's do it.
What do you want to see? Or what didn't I cover?
I just want to call out one more time. I did see a few questions coming through about the left side panel being potentially different than yours. What you should see, if you're still seeing the pop-ups on like layers or anything, what you'll see is it says, we're making some changes based on your feedback, get a head start with our guided tour, and then show me, and you would then opt in there. So if you aren't seeing if your layout doesn't look just like Crystal's, just click into that and it will.
I can't go back to that. Sorry, I thought I could. That's my special magic hidden settings.
Yeah. And yeah, so when we say right click for Mac, that is two clicks, right, Chris? 2 finger clicks. What do you do?
I have it set up so it's 2 fingers touching my touchpad or my mouse. That is customizable in your settings. I think that might be the default setting, but right, you might have it changed.
If you have any other questions. How do you get the alignment guides? Can you show us a little bit about grids and alignment, Crystal?
Yeah, I'm gonna just create a new document to give myself a little bit of sanity here. So I'm gonna go to File and Create New. And I'm just gonna do a blank canvas. From here, you can see I can choose from a variety of different sizes. Or I can do a custom size. I just want something big. Like a presentation. Okay. So if I want to see the grids and alignment, or if I want to change those, I go to this bottom toolbar and I go to my settings. It's this little cog icon. Can you guys see that okay? It's tiny, but that allows you to either turn alignment and snap on, which there's like a nice little preview if you hover over the eye on a lot of things on your left toolbar. But if you hover over the eye, it'll show you the little guidelines that happen. And then if you want to show your grids, you can do that. We have a couple of really basic presets that we see people use a lot. If you're into photography and you're using the rule of thirds, this is a really common one that you might want to see. You can customize it by adding a certain amount of rows. Like one thing that I often do is if I'm designing for a particular size and I want, like, as a designer, I want like an even border around the edge. I think this is 1920 by 1080. I'll like math it out to be able to have the even border around the edge, if that makes sense.
Whoa.
Oh my.
That's not a good example. I'm not mathing right now. But I can customize this completely to however I want it to be.
That's awesome.
What is it, 9:16? Is that ratio? That'll give me like I just had to breathe for a second, but that'll allow me to do that. And then I can snap to the grid or not. Like if I just want it as kind of a general guideline, but I don't want things to align to it, I can turn off snap to grid. But if I want things to align to it, I'll turn it on. And that, I'm just gonna add a square so you can see what that looks like. That way you can like see how if I'm dragging it, it'll align to different pieces on that. So if I wanted something with that frame and I'm not using a collage for some reason, which I probably would in this case, I could still have that like different kind of border, that very, very uniform border. Good question.
Thank you. We are at time, so I want to give a huge shout out to Crystal. This has been such an awesome tutorial. I am like mind blown and I loved everything we learned today. Again, don't feel discouraged if this felt really advanced for you. It just, we are in the product all the time and we just want to really show the power of PicMonkey. And we are going to be, this has been recorded and we are going to upload it to our YouTube channel right now. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel or just check in later today and type in PicMonkey on YouTube and you will see it as one of our most recent uploaded videos. And you can watch it at your own pace, you know, can pause it, do whatever you need to do. You can also ask questions in our YouTube comments because we are the ones monitoring that. So we will still be able to answer you in there as well. Thank you all so much for your really incredible and thoughtful questions. We are so excited to be doing these with you. Reminder, we are going to be doing them monthly. So in the middle of the month, we will be doing a PicMonkey 101, which is basically like what we did today. We're just diving into the product and trying to cover as much as we can in this short amount of time, which at PicMonkey, there's so much to learn and do that it's hard to. But Jake will be sending out emails, and keep an eye out for all of our events, because Crystal does really killer demos and tutorials. So thank you guys so much. Once again, I'm Fabs. Crystal has been our awesome demoer today, and Jake has been answering questions at the speed of light. So
Thank you, Fabs and Jake, too, for fielding those. And
Of course, thank you
what else
guys.
you want to hear
Well,
about.
yeah,
Thanks for joining us, guys.
We'll see you guys next month, and be sure to join us, because these are really fun for us.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.